Hello, fellas. This is Wistful Dale here. We need to have a discussion here, folks. Do you know what today is? Or better yet, do you know what month is? Let's think on it for a moment. Let's use our brains here, okay? Last month was May, and July is next month. So what month do we have left that just started? That's right, June. Do you know what's in June, folks? Any familiarity with them, folks? Why is there so many damn rainbows all over the place? What's with these unique colors that are suddenly popping up? What's with, this or this? Oh, wait, I know what it is. Pride Month. So, yes, it is Pride Month. And I'm going to be very clear with you folks, okay? I'm going to be very clear with you folks that when I say that I fully support them and accept them as people, you will not banish me to the shadow realm. You will not leave hate comments. You will not harass me. And you will not send me over to the FBI or Hitman list or some, I don't know, drug crime or whatever for being a straight man on Pride Month. Because I have done it myself and you can't do anything about it. What's up, folks? So, today's video here, I want to go ahead and discuss with you folks on my feelings towards LGBTQ plus community people, I mean, because I want to share my thoughts and my opinions on them and everything, because since today or whatever, partially yesterday too in a sense, but more so today, I saw a bunch of folks, some girl couples and boy couples or whatever, even like a transgender or whatever or two, and a bunch of pride flags and non-binary flags or bisexual flags and stuff. So I want to overall talk about my discussion, or at least my thoughts on LGBTQ plus community, and I want to discuss on you folks here. So with that intro out of mind, I fully support them and accept them, and I feel like the folks that don't accept them or that dehumanize them in a way are just hypocrites and purely just idiotic folks or whatever. And I want to explain to you folks that LGBTQ plus is really not that big as everyone makes it seems to be, even though it's different. So honestly, I know very well of LGBTQ folks. In fact, two of my closest damn friends are LGBT, or at least a part of them. James definitely is, being gender fluid. I think they are definitely a part of them. And also my friend Luna, who I've freaking known him since I was practically 8 years old. I was practically Bambi at that time when I first met him. And I feel like honestly it's great, seeing folks accept each other and everything. But I want to explain to you folks why I personally don't see it really as a big deal as some folks may make it out to be. Because I know as soon as Pride Month hits and, the folks that are LGBT, are happy and everything, I'm just happy with them. There's also some folks that are just like pure degenerates. They look at them all dehumanized and stuff, and what are they teaching our kids these days? What is happening with the world? Has Satan come back? Says the Christians and religions or whatever. So, honestly, first things first, the bisexuals, the folks that are into men and women, even if you have a prefer one or the other, but if you get that certain click, that ignition, if you will, with both genders, that means you're non-binary, not non-binary, it means you're bisexual, excuse me, or if you're gay or lesbian or whatever, I honestly do not have an issue with that whatsoever because that's legit like ice cream flavor. Because let me tell you, folks, not everyone is into vanilla ice cream. Excuse me. I know, shocking, right? You folks are not everyone's into vanilla ice cream. What? But it's like the main staple of ice cream. You freaking when you think of an ice cream, you honestly think of vanilla, right? That white ice cream, that's vanilla. That's legit like straight in a nutshell to me. And then lesbian or gays or bisexuals or whatever, or just like the other quote unpopular flavors. But that's more so on the sort of societal thing still at the moment right now. And I legit do not have an issue with women to women or men to men because that's legit just flavor. You know, whether it's through justifiable experiences, justified excuse me, saying through bad experiences, or it's just how they just generally prefer. You know, I really don't have an issue with that because it's legit just like flavor. Me, for one, I will never be into men, but you know what? Everyone's different as well. And also, the transgender thing, I do not have an issue with. Honestly, too much. Yeah, it's still a bit of work for me, especially with the pronouns, because I was especially being hot wired into the norm at times. Like for me, it was kind of a bit challenging for me, honestly, especially with Luna. But once I kind of got the hang of it, I really rolled on. To me, it's like riding a bike in a sense, you know, because well, honestly, we're taught at a young age, or ideally, you know, the majority of us, you know, Gen Z throughout boomers or, you know, the Great Depression or whatever, right? Throughout history, we've been taught what a man is and what a woman is. And I feel like um, it is challenging at first, especially as a newcomer with the transgender folks. But if they really do try, you know, and they don't mean any harm by any means, I feel like the folks that get mad, you know, especially the transgender folks that just get super angry and mad at the folks that mispronounce them by accident, I'm saying accident here, try not to get so pissed off at them because they may not mean to because we're so hot wired into it's like we have a network, a default network code of what we're pushed into. But if they really, but if they honestly, you know, try and really mean, you know, mean what they really mean and try to use the correct pronouns, then I think eventually they'll get there. And I feel like even though it's still a bit of a work in progress for me, I still don't have a main issue with it. And I feel like the prime example of what's best to even do if you happen to be trans or have dysphoria or whatever is my friend Luna. He legit, I feel like, did it probably the best way that he could, honestly. And now, when it comes to like gender discovery, identity, or whatever. It's no walk in the park, folks, okay? It's not no, oh shit, I can just become a woman or a man or whatever, like a video game term. Like, that's not how this works here. It takes a lot of process, a lot of thinking, and it's very heavy, and you have to make absolute 100%, not even 100%, 110, 200% absolute damn sure that this is the choice that you want to go. And my friend Luna, he decided to make himself non-binary at first while he was discovering himself. You know, he didn't just say, you know, I think I'm going to become a man now. At first, he switched over to non-binary as he was transitioning because he didn't want to fully confirm just yet. You know, so I feel like that was a very smart move, honestly. Instead of jumping to the opposite gender, he went to the no gender kind of route, you know, just to really discover, you know, who he really is. And so I use they, them. And luckily for him, he was, you know, very polite enough, you know, to tell me, you know, here's the different things on LGBT, you know, and whatnot. And I was like, okay, okay. And it still seems a bit weird to me. But you know what? I don't need to know the full story exactly because I accept them for who they are. And pretty much, he explained to me the routines and everything. Not the I'm having a hard time with picky words. He showed me pretty much the ropes, like this is this is that, and whatnot, and on LGBT, and he was very and once he made his mark and finally connected the dots, once he collected himself very hardly, on who he really was, and once, he finally found himself and became a he also came to the conclusion that he was going to lose close friends and folks and everything because he was, quote, different. I legit had friends tied to him or whatever, and they said stuff like, he's completely different. He's not the same or whatever. He's not a she anymore and whatnot. And legit, I just text him on Discord all freaking, beat him up in person or whatever, just meet in person with him. And he's legit like the same damn person he was. Even if he was a she all those years ago as kids. Like, I mean, yeah, he's matured like everyone else, like all we do eventually, in time as we grow up, we mature and everything. But he still has that same characteristics that I still can pick up and recognize. And he's still pretty much the same that he was, today as he was back then when he was a she and everything and we were kids and everything. And I'm like, he's legit the same pretty much. I do not really see much of a big difference. Now, if he changed himself and said, John, you need to change, it's you, or vice versa with me saying, no, you need to stay the way God made you or whatever, then yeah, rightfully so, I would throw them away or ditch him or whatever. But that didn't happen. And one last thing that I want to excuse me. Oh, goodness. One last thing that I want to discuss with you folks is that I feel like LGBTQ plus is really not that big of a deal when you really look at it. Yes, it is weird on surface level, okay? Don't get me wrong, no hate, but yes, on an outsider or whatever, or someone who may not see this before, yes, it is odd, yes, it is weird, but if you take a deeper look at it, it's really not that big of a deal as some folks make it out to be, or trying to make it to be. And just because something's different isn't inherently bad. Because honestly, like with my friend Luna here, yes, he's a he now, no longer a she. It's been that way for a couple years now, and it's something that they chose themselves, that they worked on themselves and everything. He's legit the same thing. The only actual difference is just the pronouns and accepting him as a he. That's it. Everything else is pretty much the same, honestly. And I feel like it's the same thing with a lot of this stuff too, that it's really not that big of a deal. I don't understand folks that, especially with the old folks or whatever, that may be like, where are they teaching our kids these days, trying to, be gay or whatever and stuff. Honestly, I don't have an issue with LGBTQ. I can't even say it correctly. LGBT L pride or whatever, right? Kids are different or whatever. I don't have a problem with that, but let the kids, be kids and let them discover themselves as to who they are. I find it extremely despicable for parents to push their kids to be LGBT when they don't want to or not yet. Just because you're the parent doesn't mean you need to fully control their sexuality or whatever, or even, transgender or whatever. And as a matter of fact, when they even are at that point, just let the kids be damn kids. If they find that themselves down the road, then they'll find it down the road for themselves. And I find that much just as despicable as people telling trans or whatever that they need to stick to what gender they were originally born with, because some folks, have different brain waves, more feminine or masculine or whatever. And the main reason why I'm personally am never going to be trans, and the main reason why I know for a damn fact that I will never be trans or even non-binary or whatever, is because, well, yes, I do have some feminine qualities here and there. I don't have dysphoria. Dysphoria is pretty much where you feel something very wrong with your body, and Luna's really started to heavily have that, where he felt wrong about having his watermelons, if you will. He didn't want the watermelons, the melons per se, if you will, or whatever. And he, did surgery on that. But you know what? Some folks may say that's ridiculous and insane to do that. I feel like it's honestly justified, especially when you work on yourself and push on yourself to finding yourself for who you really are. I feel like that honestly works a lot better, and I feel like at the end of the day, it's the pure individual of themselves, of their choosing. And it's kind of interesting because looking back at the childhood and everything, I kind of saw some heavy foreshadowing now on Luna becoming a he even before he was a he, even when he was a she, because he was always very more masculine, especially back in the day. He was the alpha of the elementary group, he was. Everyone always looks up to him, back when he was a she and everything. And he always had strong masculine qualities even before the transition, even before any of the stuff or dysphoria or whatever. So, of course, I didn't say anything on that, but I just find that very interesting, looking back on that. And one last thing, I think I said that before, but one last thing that I want to say is that don't focus on the full bad apples of this little societal group or whatever. Because at the end of the day, all what these folks really want here is acceptance. Just like with I'm gonna be historical here, folks. Just like with the blacks back in the day in like the 50s and 60s or whatever, how many of them protested for no longer being slaves, okay? For no longer just wanting the white cheddar cheese, okay, in a sense, to be up the uprise, but also let some of the black horses, if you will, from the white horses, so that we can all be even and not just one particular thing only of one race or whatever, or idealism or whatever. I feel like LGBT is on a similar path road with that. And I fully am on board with supporting them, but not through force or through violence, only through, peaceful protest. Because LGBTQ plus people do deserve equal rights as much as anyone else or whatever. But the thing that sucks though, in a world like the humans or whatever, what we live in and everything, we have to fight for everything just to get same rights. The blacks had to do it, the women had to do it back in the day, and now LGBTQ plus folks. It's a tiring battle, I know, always and everything. And back to the bad apples though, some folks look at it as a weird negative thing, especially I feel like with some of the baby boomers, the grandpas or grandmas or whatever, feeling like they're pushing all kids. And that's partially true to an extent, but at the end of the day, it's the kid's choice. I don't feel like the teacher should say, actually, you're a man or a woman or whatever. Trying to, I feel like teachers do purposefully confuse some kids, a lot, and I feel like that is very wrong, or parents or whatever. There's many layers to it, and there's bad apples everywhere, folks. There's bad apples in fandoms. There's bad apples in society, and yes, there are bad apples in the LGBTQ community. But at the end of the day, it's more on an individual person thing rather than what they identify as or what they're a part of. And I feel like the folks that just point the fingers saying it's because they're gay or lesbian or that they're trans or why they're acting this way, I feel like that's just very despicable because at the end of the day, anyone can be insane. You know, it doesn't matter if you're. I mean, I can be insane. I'm a straight white, male and everything, fully grown buck and everything, pretty much, none of this other stuff, and I can be insane just as much. So it's not in a matter of what you're a part of, it's a matter of the character in themselves outside of that, Some folks are just crazy or perverts or whatever, and that's just how the world is sometimes. All I'm trying to say at the end of the day, folks, is that the main reason why I support LGBTQ, LGBT, I can't even say it correctly, LGBTQ, the community, the side of folks and everything, of people and everything, is that the majority of them are doing peaceful protests and they just want the same rights as everyone else. Yes, there's some folks that feel entitled to have more rights than others just because they're part of LGBT, but I feel like at the end of the day, the majority of them, like 99.99 whatever, they just want same equal rights, and that's all they want. And they're peaceful, they're kind, they're friendly. Sure, not all of them are, but the majority of them just want to be accepted like everyone else. And I really do not see an issue with that whatsoever, because just because they're different or whatnot does not make it inherently a bad thing. In fact, I feel like it's kind of more of a good thing, honestly, because it's not so cookie cutter of like the 1950s or whatever. Well, the woman stays at home and does this, the man does this and this. And I like how will turning away from that, from where it can just be a whatever thing. If you do better at home cooking or whatever, then okay. Or if you do better at other things, then okay. Not so narrowed down to have it be like a forceful boot thing. Well, if you're this, then it's this. When in reality, it's a whatever thing or whatever you're good at or whatever. And I do firmly believe that folks will get there eventually, just like with how the blacks kind of are at the moment, in some sense or whatever. But you get what I mean. It's very tricky and very hard. And what was I going to say next? But I feel like, oh yeah, and I feel like it's just honestly disgrading that the politicians or the government or whatever, that some parts of the government accept it, but they push it in a forceful shoving way that you must accept, or whatever. Like they push it without really giving context or even reasoning why. And if you question it, even just out of curiosity, they banish you to the shadow realm, or folks put the hammer down and deny it like they're inhuman or whatever. I feel like that's just dumb and despicable. At the end of the but politics and government or whatever is definitely for another time, especially for what year it is and everything. I definitely have a separate video for politics and the government and whatnot. But at the end of the day, folks, that's my main reason why I support LGBTQ+. Yes, there's bad apples. Yes, there's some crazy folks. But at the end of the day, there's crazy folks everywhere. There's crazy folks in furries, bronies, anime, freaking anything under the sun, just Karens or Kevins or whatever. That's just as a general humanity theme. And to tie it down specifically to say it's only because of this or this is just very despicable, because at the end of the day, on the opposite side, there's still crazy folks or whatever. And so with that out of the way, folks, that's my overall thoughts on LGBTQ+. I hope you folks enjoyed and listened in. And at the end of the day, folks, I feel bad that some governments or whatever while taking away rights or trying to throw in the bills of, banishing some of your folks to the shadow realm, because it's either through old naiveness of the old ways or whatever, vice versa. And honestly, I feel bad. Me personally, I would never be a part of it or join them or whatever. And while I may not fully agree on everything, I'm still gonna accept, because you folks are LGBT, are still people at the end of the day too. Just because I don't have dysphoria, I'm not trans or that I'm not into men or whatever, just because I'm not anywhere related to them doesn't fully mean I can't still accept them as humans or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, regardless. Even if we don't identify as human, we're still humanoids in a sense, We're all imperfect, and we'll all make mistakes or do this or do that or whatever. But at the end of the day, I feel like pride is overall kind of a wonderful thing, and I do like that a lot majority are being accepted. Yes, there's some bad things though of folks banishing them or whatever, baby boomers or whatever. But I feel like it's overall a wonderful thing, and while it's still a raging battle, it may always be a battle, but at the end of the day, what's most important is to focus on the folks that do accept you, even if they don't fully agree with you or even understood. If they accept you as a human being as much as they do, or as much as others outside, then I feel like that's more than good enough. And if they treat you the same and not any different or whatever, I feel like that's at the end of the day good enough, and that's when equality can truly happen. Not through giving more rights or less rights, but having it legit be an equal scale on all levels, regardless if they are or aren't, or if you are or aren't. So, with all that being said and out of the way, I hope you folks, I guess, enjoyed or whatever or whatnot, took a listen or whatever. But I just wanted to share my thoughts and my ideas and reasoning with LGBT, since it is Pride Month yet again, and I am grateful that there's a lot of acceptance with open arms. Not every open arm, especially with the freaking government trying to banish them all to the shadow realm. But at the end of the day, while I may not be a part of the pride flag, I'm still gonna goddamn salute it, because damn it, they're as much humans as the soldiers or whatever outside. So, with all that being said and out of the way, folks, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe for more, and I'll see you all sooner or later. Bye bye, everyone.